Welcome everyone. It's always a joy to be here and be together in this moment. Yeah. I was talking to a friend this morning and she was in England, and we were just saying, wow, how amazing is it that we can connect like this from around the world, wherever we are. And I said, yeah, it is. And I was just thinking, wow, really and truthfully, it wasn't that long ago that to make a phone call across the world would cost a lot of money. And now we can actually do video, and you can actually see each other and talk to one another. And so even in these times, whether you're in a lockdown or not, we can still be together. And that's a wonderful thing. We can still remember the truth, no matter what's happening. Yeah, so we get to share this wonderful message as always, and that's truly an honor to be able to do this. And I think today is quite interesting because if you're doing the lessons, it's day 14, and if you listen to David's teachings on that for today, the text is cause and effect, and that's been interesting because that's the section that I've been stuck in for some weeks now, so it felt appropriate to share about that. And really the dispelling of fear, because of course this world is made of fear. The ego's weapon is fear, and it wants to deter us from the light, which of course is completely and utterly untrue. It's fictitious, and so we've made up this fear. And that's why this talk is called Fear is an Illusion. And so really that's what we're doing. And I was just thinking about this just before I came on, and probably that's the reason why all of us got into A Course in Miracles, actually. Not even knowing that, but underneath it all is like there's this fear that has been running the show for so long, and that we weren't even aware of it. And then A Course in Miracles comes to our life and gives us the direct answers to awakening. and a guide and a manual to find that answer within. And that already starts to eliminate fear. And so there's many things that these seeming body lives fear is death and what will happen to the body. Really, that's the whole thing. That's what it's all about. It's all about what's going to happen in the future. And that's what the illusion is generating what you think is going to happen. So it is a mind job. And as we know, the further we go into these teachings, these unconscious pockets start to arise in awareness that we didn't think that were there in our minds. And of course, it's just all ego thinking. But it wants us to believe that it's personal to us. And it wants us to believe that you are this terrible, terrible thing. And not to share that with anyone. And so that's why here we practice sharing our thoughts, particularly our dark thoughts, stuff that you wouldn't actually share. And so I remember there was one time, it was about 2 years ago now, and it was a time where the guidance was, let's have all the secrets up. I want to hear your secrets. And to most people this feels pretty frightening because the ego wants to, as I said, wants you to believe in these characteristics to keep you stuck in time and space, to keep you stuck in hell. And so it has these little stories about you that you don't want to tell anyone. And so we need to let them up. We cannot hide anything from the light. Not one piece of darkness can be left. And the wonderful thing about this is it truly is an illusion. And that's what we've all found going on this journey, that as you move along, what you believe to be true, you found out was actually false. This is really what's happening to us in this awakening. What we believed is not true. We are making things up about ourselves. And so, yeah, this tiny little story, the hero's dream, as Jesus calls it in A Course in Miracles, where you think you're so important, this body identity is so important, and we're actually learning to move away from associating with this body form identity. And so the ego wants to make that very, very scary. And I was talking to a friend last night, and I was sharing with her, like, yeah, you need to remove yourself from your story and from the characters that seem to be playing their part in your dream. And then she said, that's exactly what scares me, because what then is going to happen to me if I really, really let go of this? And I thought about it. In that split moment, I had a sort of realization that I'd had this fear too, that if I keep letting go of this story, what on earth is going to happen to me? And I think that this is what the ego wants to, tells us all, in fact. I don't think I know anybody. What will become of me if I let go of this identity? And I'd realised that that idea that was in my mind has softened. And I said, wow, it's really interesting that idea isn't gripping me any longer. And I shared with her, for example, I felt like if I'm not stern, if I'm not strong in my character, then I'm going to be walked over. People are just going to want to walk all over me. And so I've got to hold this identity together because I'm going to be pushed over in life. And so I need to keep up this mask, basically. And it's like all of a sudden, in that moment of her sharing her fear about her identity, I thought, yeah, I don't need to do that any longer, because my life is led within and not without. It's an inner journey, it's an inner listening, and we are strengthening that inner guide, which is going to secure our identity within itself, which is light, which is pure joy, not of this world. And that's what wants to be revealed. And really, that's what actually we're fearful of. We're actually fearful of the light. And we're being tricked into believing that we're fearful of this form. So this was a really nice realization last night, that yeah, there has been a shift, and that what will come of me question is starting to dissolve. And so I hope that in sharing this helps everyone dissolve that question, because it had haunted me for some time, because the ego makes this character so important. And yet as it slowly drops away in a beautiful way, you don't even notice that the actual shift has occurred. And that's just that's the way of nature, actually, because it's already occurred, the change has already occurred. But I'm looking at this dark shadow, and I'm believing in this dark shadow, even though I've generated it myself. And as easy as I lay my hand down, that's as easy as you lay aside this mask, this untruth. And so that's what I was sharing with my friend last night, the importance of that. And just saying, yeah, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by that story. Yeah. Don't be fooled by the fear. And so it's kind of interesting, actually. I felt like maybe I'll read the start of this section, and if you're doing the lessons today, this is going to be really sort of on key for you, because this is part of the reading. So we're in chapter 2 at the moment, and we're in the separation and the atonement, and this is section 7, cause and effect. And I thought, like, wow, this first paragraph is just, well, you should just, this is like the whole journey, really. This is just the whole thing for us to get, and a roadmap of how important it is to listen to the inner guide. And really, this dispels a lot of pitfalls for us, to be honest. So here we go. I'm just going to read this first paragraph for us. Very direct, actually. It's a very, very direct message. You may still complain about fear, but you nevertheless persist in making yourself fearful. I have already indicated that you cannot ask me to release you from fear. I know it does not exist, but you do not. If I intervened between your thoughts and their results, I would be tampering with a basic law of cause and effect, the most fundamental law there is. I would hardly help you if I depreciated the power of your own thinking. This would be in direct opposition to the purpose of this course. It is much more helpful to remind you that you do not guard your thoughts carefully enough. You may feel that at this point it would take a miracle to be able to enable you to do this, which is perfectly true. You are not used to miracle-minded thinking, but you can be trained to think that way. All miracle workers need that kind of training. It's a pretty direct message. That is, that's in Cause and Effect, section 7 in chapter 2. Yeah, that's a pretty direct message from the Master. You know, I find it funny because he's really making fun out of us in that as well. And he's letting us know you enjoy scaring yourself to death. And you actually enjoy fear. So it's a kind of important step, really, because we can't really deny what we're doing. And he is the master practitioner. He understands the mind better than anyone. And he understands fear because he overcame fear. He overcame the world. He overcame the body. He overcame all of these beliefs. And so that's why he can share the message from above. That is the message that's coming into where we're at now. So we can be released from it. But he's given us a key there because he's actually letting us know you actually enjoy scaring yourself with fear. You're addicted to fear. And this is part of the problem. So we have to take full ownership of this in what we're doing. And as he says, that I cannot take that fear away from you because I'd be tampering with the laws of cause and effect. And I would be depreciating the power of your mind. That you can dispel it yourself by not believing in it. So it's literally the whole game is being completely being given away there. That it's how we think. And then he's teaching us you're not guarding yourself against your thoughts. You're allowing yourself to, you know, like a record, you're allowing yourself to be like a broken record and get into that groove of going around and around in certain misfortunes, maybe, which aren't even true, that you're wanting to keep stuck in this loop. And basically, again, scare yourself and generate fear. And so, of course, and I talked about in it a minute ago, about the hero of the dream, believing that you're in this important person and doing all these things and thinking that you're getting somewhere as a body identity. And in that section, Jesus gives us the actual key to escape there. And he says, you are doing this unto yourself and it is this that you would undo. And so maybe it's going to be actually good, because you're going to have to do this. You're going to have to actually look at the fear head on with love's presence. So this is the difference. It is not a teaching in fear, and it is not a teaching even it's not a teaching to push through fear. It is mastery through love. And with love's presence, you look at the fear. That's the kind of simplest way really to put it. But the ego tells you, oh, if you go towards this fear, it's going to get a lot worse. And it wants to terrify you. Yeah. So yeah, you know, in truth, the the body is a horror story. That is correct. But it's a movie that you made up. It's a horror movie that you made up. And exactly the same as a horror movie, actually. Now, we've probably all watched a movie that's probably frightened us at times. And wasn't very pleasant. And we were kind of grateful at the end of the movie when finally the tape or whatever had run out and the movie had ended. And you feel like, wow. And it sort of sucks you in as if it's completely and utterly real, doesn't it? I mean, I remember there was a movie, it was called Red Dragon. I don't know whether anyone remembers it. It was the original to Silence of the Lambs. And I remember I can't remember how old I was, but I was probably maybe late teens or something. And I watched that movie late at night. And then the movie ended, and then just going up to my bedroom was just freaking me out, you know, as if someone was going to be there and kidnap me, and God knows what else was going through my mind at the time. And I just remember it scared the hell out of me. But when the movie had ended, it's just a movie. It's just a movie, and it's over, and it's done. And so we've all had this experience of being frightened. And like the movie, I think this movie is a perfect metaphor. Is that the movie will end, that the fear will end. It comes to an end. And then you realise when you come back to your sort of senses, because you've been so drawn into the game, that you go, thank God, it was just a dream. I made it up. I'm making this up. I scared myself. I'm sitting in my room. There's nothing going on, and I scared myself. And that's exactly really what's going on. So at any time, you can actually stop the tape. And Jesus gives us the answer to that. And he says, well, the thing is, you don't guard your thoughts and your thinking. And that's why you actually need me. And that's why we need miracles. We need to become miracle-minded to change our mind. That's the only way you're going to make the full shift, is through the miracle. And that will completely and utterly dispel the horror. The made-up horror. And that's when we all laugh about it, like a jack-in-the-box that scares the child. Is that in the beginning it scares it, but then eventually it actually starts laughing at the fear, because it's now actually seeing what's going on. And that's what we need to do. We need to actually truly look at it and stop running away from it. And so what I've found is, as I've been going along on this journey, is that more stuff comes up, more stuff comes to the surface. And this is the thing that I hear from people. When's it going to end? It feels like it's relentless, this fear, this guilt, this shame. And it's like, well, actually, I wouldn't worry about that. I would worry about just keep going forward and just facing every block to love's presence. That's actually the best use of time, is to see it and give it over. See it, give it over. And that's all I really do. I just keep doing that. And of course, they keep looping around. They keep coming around. Don't be disheartened. Just keep looking and giving it over. And that's the only way that's going to dispel it, through prayer and miracles. And that's what's going to dispel this whole thing. And so, of course, there's actually, as I started this talk, there are pockets that you have pushed so far out of awareness that you don't want to look at. And as your mind starts to clear and you start to feel more lighter, you then begin to allow what you didn't want to see come to the light, which then scares the hell out of you, because you think to yourself, what the hell is my mind doing thinking in that way? And all it is beliefs and thoughts. And of course, the ego wants you to act on those beliefs and thoughts and generate it as if it's completely and utterly true. But what we're doing is we're learning that this isn't us, and that we're removing ourselves from this identity. It is. This is the sickness. The sickness is that you've believed in the ego. And so for me, it's been very, very interesting. These past week, I felt very light, actually, very light in my mind. I felt a lot of joy, and I felt a lot of peace. But what I've also noticed is like these interesting bouts of rage just wanting to appear seemingly in my body. And it can be when I'm on my own, there's nothing actually going on, and I would feel this sort of tension coming across my right arm, as if I want to generate a violent act. And I'm like, where the hell's that coming from? And it might be when I'm just sitting in meditation. It might just happen. And so I'm like, where on earth is this coming from? There's nothing actually seemingly like that's triggering me. Of course, there is a trigger, and that's what I'm exploring live now with you. Like, okay, I want to get to the bottom of this. I want to know where it's coming from. And in actual fact, I've had this before, just before openings in my mind. This anger has come up, and it's like the closer you go towards the light, the ego does not like it, and it wants to do everything it possibly can to deter you. And so it was interesting, because I had this situation happened. There was this. I'd gone out to wash one of the cars, and there was a young child, and this young child just spoke to me as very, very innocent, and I felt his innocence, and it was just a very, very sort of beautiful joining in my mind. It was just so light, and he went off, and that was the end of it. And then probably that evening in meditation, out of nowhere, I have this thought of that I could afflict a violent act upon him. And it absolutely, it just freaked me out. It was just like, wow, why on earth have I thought like that? It was almost like as if I actually did do it. That's how much it scared me. And I was like, where's this coming from? And I thought, God, I definitely don't want to be sharing that with anyone. And so straight away, it's like, okay, this seems like good stuff for the episode. I don't want to be moving away from these things and hiding what's truly going on. And it was like, why on earth would I want to afflict a violent act on a child? wow, that's pretty, in the world's terms, it's pretty sick. And so you say, well, you didn't do it, you did think it, it's pretty, you know, it's not appropriate in the world. But what it is the ego wants me to associate with that. It wants us to believe that this is true. It wants to make me wrong in that, and it doesn't want it to get out, but it just wants to keep me stuck in this loop. And it's interesting, like it's trying all these tricks, because it's been interesting, as I've shared before, that aggression and violence was part of my life. So it wasn't anything sort of it wasn't something that I was repelled by, as some people are. So it's in my sort of consciousness that I am letting go of. And so for a long time, for some weeks now, a lot of that I feel I haven't been associating so much with that character. And it's like, and I've actually been witnessing it and saying, wow, I'm, you know, it's been so long, and it's like, wow, I'm really, really letting go of this. And so I think it's like that strength is coming into my mind to say, yeah, you are not this. And now all of a sudden, for out of nowhere, the ego has to really, really ramp up its game to deter me from releasing it fully. And now the next minute, it just comes up with this scenario. I have this beautiful experience of seeing this innocent child, and then the next minute it's given me an image of me being rageful towards the child, and it's like, oh my God, that's absolutely awful. How could I bear doing that? And so, do you know what I actually had to do? Is I was trying to, you know, step away from the image, and I thought, no, I've done this before, and it just wants to come back. So I just sat there and I just said, okay, then if you want to play it out, let's play it out then in my mind. I'm not going to be a prisoner to this imagining. I'm not going to let you rule me right now. So I just sat there and I imagined as if what I was going to do, what the character was seemingly going to do in the imagination, and what would be the consequences and everything. And slowly it just started to lose its complete power. And I thought, yeah, this is actually really, really important that I share this, because I don't want to be ruled by this, and I'm not going to be a prisoner by these seeming thoughts. And I feel that they're important to be shared, that others have the courage to actually really, really look at some things that maybe seem very, very dark like that. And to be fair, for me, it's like I can put my hands up and say, you know, as this seeming character, okay, yeah, I've acted violently in my life. Thank God that's behind me. I don't feel like that any longer. But there you go. That was something that seemingly happened, and that I'm letting go of, and I'm grateful for that. And it's a blessing, and it got me here, and it made me realise that what I'm not. And now it's like, even I didn't even know that was like in there. Like, that's never been a thought in my mind to hurt someone that harmless. And it was like, wow, what the hell is going on? This is pretty freaky. And I just think the thing is what you find, no one really actually talks about this stuff. That's why I feel like someone's actually got to share, you know, the dark night of the soul and what does come up. You don't hear people sharing this because they want to keep their reputation. But of course, these episodes are about letting go of the reputation, because it's not about getting anywhere or getting followers or getting anything from this whatsoever from a personal standpoint. It's actually me releasing this personal sense of self in front of everybody. It's like a it's like a public awakening, you know. It's just sharing exactly what's going on without having that filter, so everybody can see these pitfalls in their minds and have the courage to go towards them, which is what I want. Because I don't want anyone to be ruled by this fear, and I certainly don't want to be ruled by it. And so that's why I share it. I actually feel a lot lighter now. I can feel some release from that, because it actually really frightened me. And I was thinking, God, what else is down there? What else am I thinking? And of course, there are thought systems, aren't there? There is the ego thought system and there is the spirit thought system. And they are actually all thoughts that are in our minds. They are all the same. They are all exactly the same. You know, it's like, for instance, I've had calls with people and they said to God, yeah, I felt like murdering my pet and things like this, and they feel really sort of upset about it. And I'm just like, yeah, lots of people think like that. And they're like, really? Yeah, it's just the ego, it's not personal to you. And it's like, wow, thank God for that. And so, yeah, this is really, really important that we face this head on through love, as I said, mastery through love. And you will not be given anything that you cannot face right now. That is the whole point. And so in a way, that's why that was appearing in my mind. It's like, you're ready to actually look at this. This has been buried so far out of awareness, you didn't even know it was there. And it's like, and of course then the ego tricks you again into its loop. Oh my God, what's underneath that thought then? What else have you been thinking that you don't even know about? And it's like, yeah, well, bring it on, because we're not being a prisoner to your way of thinking anymore. We are aligning ourselves with the teachings of love, and that love is real, and that love is true, and that is the teacher, and that is the only teacher, and that is the only thing that is ever going to lead us out of this mess, out of this fake mess. And so, yeah, really, that's just the message for today. That love will truly lead the way. And to find true innocence, which is not of a body, or in a body, or has a body. So really, this is just a sharing of allowing everybody to really have that courage to see and look at these things and not be frightened when they have these thoughts come up. Because it all has to be dispelled. And I'm not frightened of that. And in actual fact, I actually feel so blessed to be able to do this here, because somehow I need to be tested. I like to be tested in life, and it's like, to put this out on the internet, to put this out to everybody, feels like a test. I need to be pushing the limits of this unwinding, to make it fun for me. And it's like, yeah, I'm not going to be a prisoner. I'm here to be truly helpful. And so we all have a wonderful message to share. We all have beauty to share, to allow this great awakening to occur. And so I want to play my part perfectly in that. And so this is the 101 of A Course in Miracles, isn't it? You know, our only task is to release the blocks from love's presence, and that's it. The light is the light. You can't tell the light what the light is. The light will reveal itself to you. There's nothing that you can do. You know, who the hell do you think you are, is going to change or generate the light when you already are that. And this is all about just seeing that that is the absolute truth. But in the meantime, we're just uncovering those blocks, and the more and more blocks we uncover, the more and more the light can come in. So yeah, this feels like such a blessing. So I feel so grateful that we get to join in this way. And to finish up, before I forget, I have a very special announcement for everyone. And in actual fact, my friend asked me today, funny enough, so it's perfect timing that this is seemingly in the mind. She said to me, are you going to be doing any interactions with people? Maybe you could do a Zoom room or something like that. That could be really nice. And I said, well, funny enough, that's actually going to be happening at the end of the month. So my exciting news is that a couple of days ago, I spoke with David Hoffmeister, and as you know, a few weeks ago we did a little 45-minute Get Real together, and I spoke with him and said, hey, how do you fancy for the next free online retreat getting together? And he said, yeah, sure, I'd love that. And he said, listen, it was a bit short last time, why don't we do it an hour and a half? And I said, yeah, absolutely perfect. So you need to sign up for the next free online retreat, which is at the end of the month. I don't know the dates, but someone can put the link in for us. And basically what we're going to do in that hour and a half, what you can do is you can personal message me, or you can put your messages here in the post if you wish, or if you want to personal message me, that's absolutely fine on Facebook. Maybe someone can link my profile there. If you're not friends with me, just friend me and send me a little message. And you can write in your questions. So maybe this is a good time to really, like, we've got a few weeks or 2 weeks or whatever it is. I can't keep up with the time. So you can really pray, and we're going to choose like the best questions, the real meatiest questions to answer. So yeah, really get in touch with that deepest prayer of your heart, what that burning question that's been stopping you from being the light of the world. And David and I will be there to answer your questions. And we're also going to have the opportunity to open it up live. And so for the ones that join me each week and that are always here, please let me know if you want to actually ask a question live. And before we go on, I will make sure that you're on the top of the list, because there could be 1,000 people in the room. And so if you let me know that you would be interested in speaking, I can then let the operator, the Zoom operator, have your names, and then we can speak directly. And then they can call you out in that way, because as we know a few times, there's been so many hands up that it's just pretty much impossible to get through them. And I want to get to your deep and meaningful questions. So this feels like such a blessing. I'm so excited about that. That just completely lit me up. Feeling very excited about these interactions. And yeah, I feel like there will be some more opportunities like this. I have maybe even an idea of doing it every month, of maybe that we have some sort of interaction together. So I'm still praying into that. That was the thought that came to me today. So I'm still praying into that, and we'll see if that happens. So many blessings, everyone. As always, let's expect miracles. You are the miracle. You are loved. Always and forever. That's the message. Nothing's ever going to change that. Oh dear. Yeah, so many blessings from the bottom of my heart, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye for now.